Hi everyone. Now I've been specially asked by one of my subscribers and good friend Chris, also known as Eletronik Kaltetechnic and Hochspannung. He left me a little note on one of his videos, and he wants me to go over my head, not my head, the head you're seeing in the picture. I have done one before, but this time I've moved it out into the hall so I can actually get to it, and we'll try to light up various lamps. Now, before I start, this experiment is perfectly safe. There is no danger whatsoever, so I don't want anyone from YouTube thinking it's dangerous, because it isn't. If this thing was dangerous, it would never be sold. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is something I've done it many times. Let me see. Now I'm at the moment hoping a little pussycat don't jump up, because I've got scattered with few bulbs that we're going to try. Anyhow, we've got some tin foil. Didn't use this bit when I was cooking my turkey. Use another bit, so that hasn't been used on the turkey. We'll cover the plasma head up. This is quite an unusual device. Actually, before I do that, I'll show you inside. Normally these plasma heads have the what they call it, one of the connectors actually goes inside the lamp, but this one it doesn't. There, I've unplugged it. It simply goes in on a little plug. And looking down into where the plug goes in, you can see a little holder there for the lead. Obviously the juice down there would be well, I'm sticking my finger in it and I don't feel a thing. But as I said before, I think I'm pretty thick-skinned. You won't even light an... Oh, God. Hold on, let me move that out of the way. This thing always goes. I'm going to have to turn that off. Hold on a minute while I move that to another room and drive everyone round the bend. Right, sorry about that. I've moved it out into another room. Anyhow, getting back to my head, or this head which we're looking at. By putting it back in again, it becomes energised and it works. Known as a plasma ball or plasma head. Now, by putting some tin foil over it like a cap, make sure it's well touching the glass, but we don't want it shorting out to earth. Now that now enables a charge to be picked up, and if I was to do that, now if that was your plasma ball, Chris, you'd be drawing bloody great sparks out. But here, as you can see, just little tiny, measly little sparks. But what you do notice, they tend to, you can feel them. So if you've got really big sparks, you will feel it in your hands. At high frequency electric. But as I say, it's perfectly safe. I'll move this up a bit, try and get it to get so it can, yeah, it's just, you can just feel it. Anyhow, let me show you some lamps that will work and lamps that won't work. First of all, I've got to move this stuff very careful. First of all, we'll put a sodium lamp in, or a natrium damp. With a natrium damp lamp. I don't think this is going to work. I touch that on and not anything happening at all. So we see it doesn't work with a sodium lamp. We can try mercury vapor, and that, yeah, see if you can see inside. Very, very dim, but it does. Let me turn the light off. Oops. If I touch that, will that make it work? Oh, there we are. So if I earth it by holding the one side of the cap, I can make it glow. You can see inside the tube, you'll see the arc tube actually starting to glow. And hold it still. There you can see it. See the arc tube, Chris? That blue, that's the arc tube. And acting on the fluorescent powders of the actual lamp. So yeah, we can say that mercury vapor lamp will work. Incidentally, it's a self-ballasted lamp, which you can see has the tungsten filament inside. This type of lamp can be screwed straight into a 240 volt supply and it will work. It's made by a company called Crompton. Well, that's the name that's on it. It was possibly made by Sylvania or Philips. It says Belgium, so it's probably Sylvania. Anyhow, let's go on to another one. Wondering what works and what doesn't. Now, what do you think that one's going to do? Just a standard lamp. Might be a mushroom lamp. But imagine it'd be gas filled. Let's have a little look. No, not a thing. So not all lamps work. That one certainly doesn't. I can't even make the gas inside to light up or fluoresce. So I'll put that one down. What about a cathode ray tube? Here we have a cathode ray tube. It's got, if you look inside there, it's got two sets of plates, X and Y plates, and all a cathode ray tube does is to move an electron beam up and down or across. It's nothing more than a map reader or displays patterns. You can get them either a single beam, which this is, or you can get a double beam tube. The coating on the front is obviously a phosphor, and that is the part that you see. Old-fashioned TV sets used to have a cathode ray tube. Modern ones don't, they're LED. This part is called the gun, and that is what shoots the electrons out, or a stream of electrons. This type of cathode ray tube is what is called electrostatic. And I only just noticed there's a name on the side. AEG. That is a German company. There's a name on the side. I'd never noticed that before. Well, I have now AEG, Allgemeine Electronic Gesellschaft, I think it stands for, but it's a very well-known German firm. Anyhow, getting back to the tube, you've got your gun, and there's two types of deflection. This is electrostatic. This is done by plates that are charged up to move the actual spot or the trace about. The other type, and this was on the old TV sets, it was magnetic. You had blooming great coils connected round the neck of the tube, and it was the coils which would deflect the electrons. Anyhow, we were trying to see if this works on here, weren't we? And I think it doesn't. No, not a sausage. Not a thing. So we can say that's not going to light up. Put it somewhere safe so it doesn't roll off. Next up, we've got a modern neon. When I say modern, this was probably made in the Far East, China, Taiwan, somewhere like that. And it is quite modern. Now let's see what happens. In fact, it almost lights up as bright as if it was connected to the mains, or in this case I think 110 volts. It's NE34. I'll check that up in my little catalogue. That'll tell me whether it's 240 volts or 110 volts. But just by looking at it, now you put it on there, if you touch the outer base, you know, that bulb is almost as bright as it would be. It just shows you. You move it about from outside, you get the old glass lighting up. With your setup, Chris, this lamp would be much brighter. I don't know why, but your tubular plasma seems to produce a lot of power. Maybe because it's a slightly different construction. But anyhow, that's the American, well, it's not American, it was made for the American market. Another neon. This is a strobe type neon. No, it's not. I've got the wrong thing. Here we are. Pick the wrong thing up. We've got a strobe type neon. You can see there's the two electrodes, and it's actually just by holding it near it, you can see the flow of electrons coming through. If I touch the pins, it's a little bit stronger. And if I was to touch the pins on the silver paper, wow, look at that. Now this particular lamp is actually a strobe lamp, which means it fits into a strobe arrangement. I think I've shown it before on YouTube, and it flashes. Well, there's so to my mind there's no resistor in the base, so don't go and connecting this to the mains because you'll blow it up. And this lamp is actually quite rare. Now, it's made by Ferranti. It's an NSP1 Ferranti. There's what it's like inside. You've got your two electrodes. So that is quite bright. Now next up, is that going to work, I wonder? You know what that is? That's a Nixie tube. Well, that's trying to work. And depending on what pin I touch onto the silver paper is what number comes up. Because all a Nixie tube is a tube showing numbers, which you can see there, 1 to 0, and depending on what pin is activated on, it will light up a particular number. The other side, or the return common connector, is that screen with holes in it. I could probably make that, no, I don't know if I can. But there we are, and that's a Nixie tube. You find these in clocks, timing devices and that. This is actually a Russian one. They call it an NH18. Well, I think it's an NH. Your knowledge of Russian, you will probably know better than me what it is. That's what's actually on it. So it's in Cyrillic, is that what it's called? We don't use ends that way round, so, you know, 18. Now, did I show you this one? Can't remember if I did or not. I think I did. Yep, we've got another neon here. This is a 240 volt neon. It was just put up on YouTube a little while ago, and it appears on Lighting Gallery because I put some of my videos onto Lighting Gallery. Now that is quite bright. Alright, it's not as bright as if it was connected to the mains, but you can see it's quite bright. There is a resistor in the base, 33k ohms, so that's 33,000 ohms, and that's what limits the current so that you can run it on 240 volts. If it didn't have that resistor, the first time you plugged it in, it would go bang, and it would be shattered with glass. I know that because that happened to me when I was a kid. So it does happen. Right, what next? We've had that. Had the cathode ray tube, which didn't work. Let me show you a voltage regulator. This valve, it's a valve, but it's a voltage regulator. It's nothing more than a neon lamp. There's the innards. You've got your 2 electrodes. That is simply a neon lamp. And what that does is to control the output voltage of a circuit. If the voltage goes up so high, this will strike and keep the voltage to a manageable level. Now, it's a neon bulb. I said, well, let's see if it is. That's it touching the silver paper, and I'm touching one of the other pins. It doesn't always want to work, actually. I don't know why. There we are. Actually, I'm not touching a pin at all. I'm just placing it on the pins. So depending what pin is touched, and 2 of these pins are used, not the whole 4 of them, 2 pins are used. You look inside, you'll see connections, and if you look at it carefully, there's only 2 connections. They both go to electrons of the actual lamp itself. So here we have a voltage regulator. They made several of these. I've showed them before. I haven't showed this one fully working, connected up to a bit of juice. If I was to show this, I'd make sure it was run through a low wattage bulb, because there's no resistor in there. And connecting that to the mains, also this would go bang and glass everywhere. So that was a valve. I picked this up at one of the boot sales. It's quite a rare tube, actually. Anyhow, what we're going to show you next, Chris, some compact or energy sparing lamps. We've got a spiral there. I'm holding the base, turn it round, if I touch it, it goes off, so it's obviously acting to my hand. That gives us an idea of the power, but with your one you'll get better results because it's more powerful, and once again it is perfectly safe. Let's show you another one. I might have showed that one another time, I don't know. There's a U-shaped tube. It's another compact. Look at that. That's lighting up quite bright. Looks like a daylight tube actually. I think this came out of a battery torch years ago. As you know, I pick up so much stuff at boot sales, and that's where I think that came from. Gives an idea of the brilliance. And that's just touching the pins onto the foil. We've got a few more. Oh, I've got some. Oh, quite. Oh, it's biting me. Another one. Once again, I might have shown that one previously. Same thing, different colour rendering. That's warm white. Another one down there. There we are. That one's trying to work as well. I'm going to show you a couple more of those and a couple of fluorescent lights. This is, that's not doing very well, is it? Oh, it's coming up now. There we are. It's just showing on the one side. Oh, it's coming up. There we are. That one's come up okay as well. You get an action between the tin foil and my hand, which I'm obviously earthing it. I'm standing with I've got my socks on, but I haven't got any shoes on, so I'm probably earthed to the floor. Mind you, I normally wear rubber slipper types things, care of Littles. They're very good, those, but that would certainly affect it a bit. Anyway, let me show you the last two lamps I've got. I'm hoping there we are. That is just by touching the fluorescent lamp on it. Obviously the higher the voltage is, the further away you could have the tube, but once again be careful if you do that. This is quite safe. There's the tube, lifting it off, it dims down. I'll tell you the name of the tube, it's a no-name tube. Yeah, it's just got a number on it. It's just got a number on it. So it was probably made in the Far East. And by touching it on the thing, it definitely works. Now up last, we've got another fluorescent tube. This is by Philips. There's the name. Philips Life Max. And this was made in Thailand, and I'm just touching it near. Look what's happening now. That is quite bright. Touch my hand at the other end and touch the contacts. I can make the whole tube light up. So on your plasma cylinder, this would light up a bit brighter because you've definitely got more voltage on that. I was seeing your sparks that you were getting on then, they were fairly large compared to my measly little tiny sparks. Well anyhow mate, I hope you've enjoyed this. Any comments please make. If you want any other videos just shout, you know what to do. Show your one if you think, you know, it's safe. I'm not having anyone saying it's dangerous because it's not. So obviously it's up to you whether you put your one up or not. Might not be a good idea, I don't know. Anyhow Chris, I hope you enjoyed. I will take the cap off and see the beautiful head. This head, by the way, has got phosphors in coating the inside. This is why the colour tends to change. If it was just clear glass, you would see it, but it would be slightly different. You can touch it. The old trick, you touch it and it does funny things. The whole idea is by touching it you're earthing it, and the electrons are going to your hand because that's an easy way down to earth. They work completely independent of the current or the electric that goes into them. These are fed via a transformer. You've got a transformer there. And it reduces it to about, I think about 12 volts, and it plugs into the actual equipment. So it's low voltage, but inside there you've got what is known as a tripler circuit. Capacitors, resistors in like a network, and you know this anyhow. It steps the voltage up, but it is perfectly safe. Anyhow, let's wish you a happy new year and your family. And as I say, I hope you enjoyed seeing this little video, which has been specially made for you. Anyhow, I will catch you again, mate. So I will see you. Thanks for watching. Thank you.